Morning everybody, hope you're all doing really well and welcome to this week's Tiller's Turf Talk. Apologies if I'm a little bit croaky, I'm just getting over quite a bad bout of flu, hence the reason we had to do a rerun of a video last week. I couldn't actually talk. So really sorry about that. So today's topic, we are going to be answering the question of a viewer who recently called and asked a little bit about, I guess, a little bit of autumn winter lawn care and also what to do to service their mower during the winter time, what we need to be looking at there. So we'll look at that a little bit later in the video. But in the meantime, we'll talk a little bit about mowing itself. So the question I get asked a lot is, when do I raise the height of cut? When do I, when's the best time to mow? Anything else I can do to help the lawn? And the truth of the matter is, the energy, the time, the effort you put in, and everyone can have a fantastic lawn like the one behind me. Obviously it's not a lawn, it's a production field, but looking absolutely fabulous. And but this doesn't come without input, without care, and lots of hard work by the team that manage it. So when it comes to mowing your lawn, then lots of things you need to consider. So before you mow, obviously things like worm casts, make sure you clear them off. Ideally, if it's a dry day, then just a simple brush, something like that, just scrape them off, and that'll stop them smearing when you mow them. And obviously keep it clean and tidy. Now, certainly in the turf industry, we've lost a lot of key active ingredients in recent times, including worm control. So we're fortunate at Tillers here on very sandy soils. The worms don't tend to like it very much, so therefore it's a very minimal problem to us. So we're quite lucky there, and I'd say the odd one or two, you can just brush them off and they really don't create a problem at all. And do the same with your lawn. So also things like dew. So this morning the guys have been out, they've been dragging a hose pipe over here, and they've got the dew all cleared off, and obviously that's going to dry the surface out a lot quicker. And the other thing to consider with a lot of dew on your lawn is it also potentially harbours the spread of disease. So any disease pathogens on there tend to travel across the surface in the dew, and can obviously exacerbate the problem in that way. So they're some of the things to consider. Now, a question I asked a lot is about heights of cut, when do I raise the mower, everything else. Now, our growing season is extended now, and the days of putting the mower away in September and getting it back out in March are long gone now. And it's not unusual for people to be out mowing their lawns on Christmas Eve, getting it ready for Christmas Day. That's not unusual, I'm sure that'll be happening very soon. So the key thing here with the height of cut is to slightly raise it. If you're cutting at 20mm, maybe just raise it 2 or 3mm. If you let it grow, say 30mm, then you run the risk of a very soft, heavy top growth, not allowing it enough air, enough daylight to the surface of the plant. And again, this keeps things wet, it keeps things humid, and again encourages potential disease activity. So these are all things to consider before you mow your lawn. But a general rule of thumb is, if it needs mowing, mow it. But obviously, with new turf in particular, make sure the ground conditions are stable enough to do so. Now, regarding the choice of mower, in a general domestic situation, I would suggest probably a rotary is the best option. It's the easiest to maintain. It's good, it can pick up obviously things like leaves and that in the winter. And just for general all-round use, they're absolutely fine. For a more finesse lawn, then obviously a cylinder mower is the way to go. So it's up to your personal preference. Obviously, so down to budget as well. But yeah, by all means, go online, have a look around, and there'll certainly be something on there that suits your particular application. So what we'll do now, we're going to have a little wander, and we will go and have a look at one of the mowers and just talk a little bit about the service and aftercare that we need to be considering with that. So it's not just your lawn that requires the TLC during those autumn winter months, but also the most important thing of all in your maintenance, and that's your mower. So this is a rotary mower, it's a Honda, and like I said, fantastic mowers, good heavy duty roller, great putting stripes on, and they're also good in the autumn for leaf collecting. So you put on a higher settee, if you've got a lot of leaves on your lawn, then it does a cracking job at that. So when it comes to winter service, if you've got something like a cylinder mower, which is obviously the bed knife to reel, then it's always worth taking that in to get it serviced by a professional. They need special grinders and all the right equipment to do that. But something like a rotary mower, you can probably service it yourself, and all the mowers will come with an operator's manual, so have a look in there and it'll tell you all about how to change the oil and obviously various part numbers and everything else that you may need to replace. But if you're not sure, again, find your nearest dealer, take it there and they'll do it for you, super quick time, and get the mower nice and sharp, ready to go again. So key things we're looking for really are things like wires here, make sure they're not bent or kinked. We're also looking for any sort of movement in any rollers, if there's any bearings or anything gone then that needs to be checked out and sorted and replaced. So other things are things like the air filter here. So again, at the very least, that needs to be taken off, cleaned up, blown out and replaced. Probably the best thing to do is just replace it. They're inexpensive and that's quick and simple to do. So again, things like your spark plug down here, make sure that's okay. Oil change, very, very important. Again, that is doable yourself, but make sure you consult your manual to see obviously what type of oil you need to replace with it. But also super important is obviously the blade underneath. So if you're going to replace the blade, obviously take care of the machine, disconnect the spark plug if you need to, tip the machine on its side, and yeah, just be careful with things like the oil and everything though. Just check what to do. If you're not sure, just ask somebody. But that blade is super important, particularly this time of year. We need to keep it nice and sharp, we need to keep that cut sharp. The seasons are changing now, things are growing for longer. It's not just a case of putting the mower away September now, not getting it out till March. We seem to have gone past that. But as soon as you see that window, round about now, which is sort of early mid-November, then you know you've probably got a few days where you don't need to mow, so get it in and get the job done. So again, with the blade, if you do need to resharpen it, it is again probably best that a professional does that. They'll be able to balance it, that'll stop the machine vibrating and obviously doing damage to your bearings on the main spindle. So that's well worth doing. But generally, like I say, with all these situations, it's often better replace the blade, start with a new season, nice sharp blade, nice fresh cut. And yeah, so that's about that. But as I say, the operator's manual's there for a reason. Take a look at it and that'll give you all the info you need. We've looked at the mowing and some of the do's and don'ts there, and another question I get commonly asked by customers, you know, regarding sort of management of new turf and even existing turf I've had down for a while, that is the subject of nutrition. Now, what we have to remember is that turf is a living thing, as human beings are, therefore it does require to be fed. And what we tend to find is in the winter time, the turf starts to shut down a little bit. Never really stops growing these days. I don't know whether that's global warming, but certainly the growth from 30 years ago is certainly a lot more sustained now through the winter months than it ever used to be. And so basically in the winter time we're going to get a little less top growth, but it's really important that we keep the plant healthy from the roots upwards as well. So the fertiliser I'm going to put on today is this one, and I've chosen a 6-5-10 analysis. So basically this means that it's 6% nitrogen, 5% phosphate and 10% potash. Now that little bit of nitrogen is just going to be enough just to keep the plant and the top growth healthy and a nice colour. There's a little bit of iron in there as well, which is great for hardening the plant off, which again helps disease resistance and just adds to the colour, so that's great. The potash and the phosphate will gently trickle into the roots upwards and keep the plant in the perfect health going into the winter months and hopefully avoid it getting sick. So a bit like a human being, whereby, you know, going into the winter time, the more we look after ourselves, the better we eat, the more, you know, nutritional balance that we have, then the less likely we are to become ill, and turf's no different. So it's a living thing, but as with all things, read the manufacturer's label, make sure that you calibrate your machine. Now if you're not sure how to do that, then what I would suggest is you sort of sweep down an area, say on your driveway, mark out a square metre, spread it, sweep up that area, mow it, weigh it, and that should be your calibrated grams per square metre. Now I prefer, particularly on a small lawn, to do a double pass, so I'll calibrate at half rate. So if the rate's say 35 grams a square metre, I'd calibrate about 17.5, then do 2 passes. That way we're less likely to get any streaking and any sort of unnecessary bits that we might miss. So I find it just works for me that better that way. Out in the fields we have GPS, so we're a lot more accurate there. But on the lawn, I'm looking on this one that we have the railings all the way around, and the posts are just of the perfect sort of 3 to 4 metres. So I go post to post in 2 directions. That really works well for me. So winter time in general, it's keep feeding it, keep it going on. You know, don't let it run out of steam, else the turf's going to look sick. But like I say, a lower nitrogen content, higher potash, and that little bit of iron just helps, just to keep the colour and that hardness there, as we said before. But as always, take advice, read the label, and follow all the manufacturer's instructions, and you won't go too wrong. But really, really important, as well as your mowing. So hope that helps you, and I'm going to finish the video here. So I'm going to say thank you very much to the viewer that sort of passed on that request. I hope this video has helped you, and I hope it's helped many others that are watching it. But in the meantime, thank you as always for watching. Continue to share, to retweet, subscribe to Tillers Turf TV on YouTube if you haven't already. You know, the channel's growing now, we're getting lots more subscribers, and we're really, really enjoying continuing to bring these videos to you. So until next week, sorry, have a great weekend, and we'll catch you next week. Cheers for now, bye bye.